Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Hot.
What a lovely day!
With the release of Spider-Man Homecoming starring Tom Holland next week, let's revisit Spider-Man 2 starring Tobey Maguire in the second part of the Sam Raimi trilogy as part of my Favorite Friday series. I already reviewed Spider-Man 1 previously for Favorite Friday. Now I'm going to review Spider-Man 2 and then Spider-Man 3. Spoiler warning, Spider-Man 3 will not partake as a Favorite Friday. Spider-Man 2 was released in 2004 and once again starred Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. He is now in college dealing with a job as a pizza delivery boy, dealing with college and Mary Jane as well, and more on his plate is the villainous Dr. Octopus. Harry Osborn is still a little salty that Spider-Man killed his father in the previous movie, but shh. He doesn't know that it's Peter Parker yet. I remember when this movie was released, I was in 6th grade, and around that time there were so many movies that had came out that I was anxious to see. Shrek 2 came out, the Lord of the Rings movie came out, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban came out, and when I graduated from 6th grade and going into junior high, my mother gave me a choice to see one of these movies in theaters as part of like graduating from elementary, got to bring a friend. I ended up seeing Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, but I do remember that all these movies came out around the same time and really had like a big blockbuster summer film. I really remember that and I loved it. Spider-Man 2 is one of my favorite movies for the simple fact that once again, Tobey Maguire does a great job as Peter Parker. He's stubborn, he's anxious, he's fun, and he's brave, and he does a great job as Peter Parker once again in here. And in this storyline, he's kind of wondering where his place in the world is. I mean, he wants to live his life as Peter Parker, but he knows he has a responsibility as Spider-Man, and with his responsibility as Spider-Man, he can't date Mary Jane and live his Peter Parker life, and so he's kind of juggling that aspect of life, and I really thought it was an intriguing storyline. It made it feel more personal because he wants to be Peter Parker, but we know him as Spider-Man. We believe in him, and watching these sequences as him believing in himself as Spider-Man is truly heroic. What makes a superhero a great superhero is believing in yourself, and you have this responsibility and you got to be it. And he does have those sequences of doubt of Spider-Man, but overall I think it was a great aspect and a great take on Spider-Man, Peter Parker, that he has these separate lives and he has to juggle them all together, and what's going to happen of it we don't know, and he makes the right decision overall. And now we have the villain of Dr. Octopus. I think this is a more developed character between the two movies, the first one and the second one. The first one we got the Green Goblin, which I thought the costume was a little clunky and weird. But I do think that Dr. Octopus is the better villain. He was way more developed. He had this relationship with Peter Parker. In the beginning of the film, they kind of understood each other because of science and all that smart stuff. And then once everything happened, and they were trying to outsmart each other with scientific terms that I really did not understand. But I did think that Dr. Octopus was a really great villain. I do like Dr. Octopus in the animated show. And as a villain, I think he's a great villain. And they did handle him very well. They didn't get him with the green suit and the orange suit with the goggles. They just went like the typical nowadays route with it, and I thought it worked really well. So I do think that Dr. Octopus was a great addition. And you could really tell that in some of these sequences, there's a lot at stake, and a lot of people's lives could end because of certain things the villain did, especially the train scene where he is shooting his webs at the buildings and he's holding it and his suit is ripping. You could tell that a lot of things are at stake and people's lives could end if Spider-Man doesn't save them. And I really like that scene in this movie. It's probably the best scene in all the Spider-Man films because it really does put a lot at stake and really makes you feel for the scene and understand what Sam Raimi was going for. And it really puts more into Peter Parker that he is brave and he's a great superhero, and why I really like watching his movies. Overall, Spider-Man 2 is a really great comic book movie. It's the one I have watched the least out of the trilogy, but it is still an amazing film. with great characters of Peter Parker and Dr. Octopus. The action sequences were top notch and really put a lot at stake into the movie. The look of the film was great. The design for Spider-Man was awesome. Overall, it is a really great film. I'm gonna go ahead and give Spider-Man 2 an A+. So up next is my review for Spider-Man 3, then I'll be reviewing Spider-Man Homecoming, and then ranking all 6 of the Spider-Man films, the ones with Tobey Maguire, the ones with Andrew Garfield, and now this one with Tom Holland. So look forward to that next weekend. Thank you guys for watching. As always, you guys are the best. This is Just Watches Movies, and you stay classy too.